Yeah, I'm ready to speak on all those things, as our
And
time allows.
where did your parents come up with the name? Because they didn't spell it like the country.
Yeah,
So
well, India is an old Southern name, if
Okay.
you've ever watched Gone with the...
Tennessee This Week from WATE 6 on your side starts now.
Hello and welcome to Tennessee This Week. Good to be with you. I'm Don Hudson. Glad to be back after several weeks and Christmas and the holidays. I'm missing you. Today we're doing a bit of looking back and a bit of looking forward. That's because we're joined today by Knoxville Mayor India Kincannon. We want to thank you first for coming in and joining us with our line of questioning. I want to start right off with the crime, police, and all those types of things. You brought in a new police chief, Chief Paul Noel, and I'm curious, one, how as you look at what he has done, because there's been a lot of news about it, where does that stand as far as how is he doing? Because you're the one basically who selected him. So.
Yes, I think he is off to an amazing start. He's been here 7 months now, and one of the top priorities is fighting crime. And we just found that our end-of-year homicides are down 15%. And that's the most important thing, to be moving in the right direction. Other violent crime is down. He did a reorganization of KPD, so we haven't changed the number of officers, but we are deploying them in a more effective strategic way. So I've seen a lot of more visibility in our officers, particularly in high traffic areas such as downtown. So I'm down there with business owners and visitors, and they see the police officers more, and there's a sense that people are safer, and they are safer. The statistics back that up. I'm also really pleased that we are the first city in the state of Tennessee to be accepted into the active bystandership for law enforcement program, and that's just going to help with our efforts to be as best as we can be.
So things are moving in the right direction, I guess that's what you would say. So what's next? What do you expect next? What's the next step in making things better in Knoxville?
Well, I want to fill our ranks. We have a lot of officers. We're still down. We're not up to our full authorized force. We also want to have 3 full academies this year, so we can build up. We have a lot of officers who could retire at any time. So Chief Noel is working on that, and I just met with some of our current recruits. They're doing a great job. I got to see them do their firearms training and driving training, and I'm so encouraged. And I said, I'll see you at graduation.
It's quite a sight, isn't it?
Yes, yes it is.
A lot of people think they know, and then they go see it, and they go, oh, it's a little bit different, as someone who's been through it. I know in the process, and right before I got to town, you brought him to town, there was kind of a process of keeping things out of the know for some people. How do you look back at that transparency, even though you say transparency with him, that all work out and you would do it again the exact same way?
Well, I'm really proud of the process where we got a lot of public input from the community, and then we had advice that the best candidates sometimes need to have a confidential process in order to apply. So Paul Noel is one of many who said they would not have applied but for the fact that it was a confidential process. So I'm really pleased with that. He was the unanimous pick of the committee that I put together to interview all the candidates, and I'm really pleased with the results, and so are members of the community.
And sorry to get behind the curtain on this, just sure. Curious, and this is just my curiosity. Him saying yes, because you said, oh, this is the person. I mean, I know you have your list. Say him saying yes, what was that moment like?
It was a good moment because from the first interview, I had a good feeling about him. I'd heard great things about him from people who live in New Orleans, and I really appreciated his leadership on things like ABLE and ethical policing, and I just thought he'd be a great fit for our city. I also like the fact that he's committed to making sure that our next police chief, when he's retired, can be from within the ranks. He's going to build up our department so we have great leadership, so the next chief comes right from within within our own ranks.
Okay. And moving on to what they deal with, of course, is crime. Can't just be police that do it. As someone who used to be a police officer, you can be out there in the community, but you need the community to be involved. So what else is going on that is helping? Because like you said, these stats just came out and they were pretty good.
Yeah, the stats are going in the right direction. We started the Office of Community Safety, headed by LaKenya Middlebrook, and she and her team are working to launch. We have launched the Street Violence Interruption Team, and that's an outside community organization. That's people in the community who have credibility in the community, and some of them have been, had a checkered past themselves.
Right.
But those are the people who have that credibility to interrupt the violence, de-escalate. Instead of having somebody go after someone after an incident for revenge, they can intervene and say, give them other options and say, let's navigate this in a peaceful way and move forward that way. So violence interruption is community-based. We are also working really hard to have strong community relationships between KPD and community members, because you're right, law enforcement can't stop crime alone. Right.
You can be visible, but you need other people around. The new public safety building, it's in pain and in price. Has it been worth it?
Absolutely. I'm excited to have a police department, a fire department, pension, and courts move in there in the next few months. It has been more expensive than we hoped, but this is because all construction projects have had to deal with inflation. But the good news is it's not just a public safety complex. It's part of a revitalization effort for that whole campus. It's right next to Fulton High School. It complements the investments of the LMU School of Nursing and School of Dentistry. Right. There's going to be a free dental clinic. It's going to be a home for our police officers, our fire department. And instead of being a blighted, empty, vacated hospital, it's going to be an asset to the whole community and catalyze more investment in the North Knoxville area.
Moving on to the multi-use stadium, it has definitely been in the news. It's been one form, different form, bigger, smaller. Where are your thoughts on that right now, where we're headed and how it's kind of been downscaled a little bit?
It hasn't been downscaled. It's moving right along, and we're going to have
meant in size. But
yeah. Well, I think just some of the offices that were going to be for the baseball administration are now going to be in another location to maximize the number of apartments and retail spaces we can have there. So it's moving forward full speed ahead. The Sports Authority should be voting on the final budget in February, I believe, and we're excited about the internship opportunities. You can go to KnoxvilleSportsAuthority.com, and if you're interested, college-age student can find opportunities to get involved and learn firsthand what it's like to do a major development project like this and run the businesses that are going to be inside there. It's bringing baseball back to Knoxville, giving a new home for our professional soccer team, and so many other opportunities.
Now can you answer, because in our newsroom there's been debate that there isn't actually going to be soccer, it's just going to be baseball.
No,
or
there's going to be soccer.
Both sports are going to get played there.
Both sports are going to coexist. It happens in other stadiums, and we're planning for it on the front end so we can have the infrastructure there to make that possible.
When it's all said and done for the people in Knoxville, you being the person who should answer this, the ROI, the return on investment, going to be...
I said from day one that I was supportive of the stadium as long as the benefits to the public were greater than the cost, and I have no doubt that that is true.
Okay. Let's move on. It was just in the news a couple days ago. It's getting restarted here, the pedestrian bridge. Yeah. You see some of the photos of how long ago this idea was. There are people rollerblading and things like that from the old, like, hey, we were thinking about doing this. It was, I don't know, in the 90s or whenever it was. Is this the time that it's finally going to happen?
I think the stars are aligned. It was a good idea 25 years ago. It was a good idea under the Bill Haslam administration and the Rohero administration. But at the time, the partnerships, the alliances, and most importantly, the money was not available. But we're confident that we are going to be a good candidate for getting federal support and state support. And we're so proud and pleased of our partnership with UT. And I'm also looking forward to beginning the discussions with the people of South Knoxville and the rest of our city of what this should look like, because we have an opportunity. It's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do it right and make it work for our community.
I had a lot of questions about this issue, but I'm going to just stick to one. As the leaves have dropped and you can see more, and I being fairly new to Knoxville, we've got a pretty serious homeless problem, that it looks that way anyway. What are the top efforts that we're making to provide more or to get people off of the streets and in somewhere? I know some people just refuse to go into a shelter, but
Right. Well, we support, CAC and the Knoxville Leadership Foundation and Volunteer Ministry Center and many other entities that are providing firsthand services to these people at the street level. But most importantly is that we are supporting and funding the establishment of more permanent supportive housing, and that's for people who need more than just a roof over their head. They also need social work and counselors. So we're going to be celebrating the opening of Caswell Manor in a few weeks, and that's another 50, I think, units of permanent supportive housing. We have a partnership that's going to be launched soon called Callahan Flats with the Knoxville Leadership Foundation for another 100 or so units of permanent supportive housing. And we're working with KCDC to hopefully start up some hotel rooms for people who need immediate help to get off the streets. So it's an ongoing effort, and as you've lived other places, you realize we do have our challenges in Knoxville, but we're doing a pretty good job, and I think I'm really proud of all our nonprofit partners who work on these efforts in collaboration with us and Knox County.
Right, and I see those efforts, and I think some people just don't understand. There are people that just won't go. You can say, hey, we're doing all this, and
we cannot force people to go into the shelter. Our shelter at Carm has beds. During the extreme cold weather, we put up an emergency tent for warming people during the day and in the evening if they didn't have room at Carm. So and that is a collaborative effort. Nonprofit sector, church groups, public sector, working together to make sure we give people the resources they need to survive and hopefully get connected to services and housing.
All right, we're getting close, I guess, to your State of the City address, and those often involve, like we've just had this conversation, some of the good things that you can brag about or just tell people about. Can you give us a little insight into what else, as we move toward the future, what you'll be talking about?
Well, one of the things I'm really excited about is our efforts to transform Western Heights. We won a $40 million grant from HUD, and that's going to be a game changer for the people of the Beaumont and Western Heights community. We won that a few months ago, and we're getting started on making those investments, not just to renovating the housing, but to bring a park there, to have commercial and business activities for the neighborhoods there, to make it good for the people who live there and make it a choice neighborhood where people will choose to live there because it's such an awesome community.
All right. Last question for you be about Fort Kidd.
Yeah.
What is the future of the fort?
Well, we're getting ready to open it in the near future. We'll probably have a celebration once the weather gets warmer. And then I want to wait and see how kids and families of today use it and enjoy it.
Competing with a whole different thing when it originally opened,
yeah,
right?
it's very different. I brought my kids to the original Fort Kidd, and that was a community-based effort, which was fantastic. Now it's 2023. We have a new version of Fort Kidd, and so I'll be happy to hear from the community for if we want like a name change. Right. I'm very open to that, but maybe the kids of today will want to keep that name. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Mayor, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for answering our questions.
Thank you.
All right. Well, still to come, the state legislature gets going in Nashville. Team Red gets control of the House in Washington, D.C. You're watching Tennessee This Week on WAT6 on your side.